friends, welcome to Gallant Days. Hope you guys have an amazing day. So today we are going to deal with another question from our Telegram group. That is the question based on boards and streams. Okay. Now let's solve this question. Now check the question. A man can row 8 km per hour in the still water and the river is running at 2 km per hour. If the man takes 1 hour to row to a place and row back, how far is the place? So here we actually need to, before solving this question, we actually need to know the concept of upstream and downstream. This question is actually based on a topic known as boards and streams. Okay, so let's check the concept of upstream and downstream. For that, consider a point. Okay, consider a point A and B. So a boat is actually moving from point A to point B, and the reverse flow is actually in the opposite direction. Assume that the reverse flow is in the opposite direction, that is from B to A. That is, the boat is moving from A to B and the river is actually flowing in the opposite to that of the boat. So the velocity of the boat in still water be U and the velocity of the river be V. So since the boat is actually moving in the opposite direction that of the river, the boat actually experience a drag force, right? So the velocity of the boat gets reduced. So the resultant velocity is nothing but U minus V. Okay, the resultant velocity is U minus V. So this condition is known as the upstream condition. Okay, now let's study the downstream condition. So in this case, now consider the river is flowing from A to B and the boat is also moving from A to B. So the movement of the boat and the river is actually in the same direction, right? That is, the resultant, then the boat actually experience an increase in speed, right? So the resultant speed is nothing but U plus V. Okay, the resultant speed is U plus V. So this condition is known as the downstream condition. The conditions are very simple, the concept is very simple. So keep this concept in your mind, and now let's solve this question. A man can row 8 km per hour in still water and a river is running at 2 km per hour. If the man takes 1 hour to row to a place and row back, how far is the place? So here a man can row 8 km per hour in still water. So the still water of the boat is given, that is U. That is, U is what? 8 km per hour. And the river is running at 2 km per hour. So the velocity of the river is also given, that is 2 km per hour. But the reality is that the river's direction is not specified. So we need to assume the direction of the river in this case, in this question. And if the man takes 1 hour to row to a place and row back, how far is the place? So suppose now it's the main part of the question, that is, the man takes 1 hour to row to a place and row back. Okay, for that we need to do certain assumptions. So let A be the initial point of the man and he is actually traveling to a point B, right? And then he reached that point B and he is coming back to A, and the total time for that, all those things, that is from A to B then B to A, the total time is what? 1 hour, and we need to find the distance between A and B. Okay, so let the distance between A and B be X. Okay, the distance between A and B, that is AB is equal to what? ABB X. Okay, so here AB is, we assume that the distance between AB is X, and the boat is moving from A to B. That is, initially the boat is moving from A to B. In the first case, the boat is moving from A to B, and here I am assuming that the flow of the river is actually from A to B. So here I am assuming that the flow of the river is from A to B. You can also assume the river's flow is from B to A. It's up to you. Anyway, your final answer will be same only. Okay. So here I am assuming that the river's velocity, reverse flow is from A to B. The river is flowing from A to B, and the boat is also moving from A to B. So this is the first case, and here the velocity, the movement of the boat and the flow of the river is actually in the same direction. So the boat is actually, the resultant velocity of the boat increases, right? So this condition is what? It is actually a downstream condition, that is the velocity of the boat, that is velocity of the boat is what? Boat is equal to the resultant velocity, the resultant velocity is what? Velocity of the boat in still water plus the velocity of the velocity of the river. So U plus V, that is 8 km, that is 8 km per hour plus what? 2 km per hour. So total time will be what? 8 plus 2, that is 10 km per hour. So 10 km per hour is the resultant velocity of the boat when the boat is moving from A to B, that is the downstream condition. Now check the other condition, that is in the next condition, the boat is actually moving from, that is here, the boat is boat went from A to B, right? Then it is coming back to A, right? So the boat is moving back to A, and we already assumed that the river is flowing from A to B, right? The river is flowing from A to B. So in this case, the boat is moving from B to A, the boat is moving from B to A, and the river is moving from A to B. So in that case, the boat actually experiences a drag force, right? That means the resultant velocity of the boat get reduced than the boat's still water speed, right? So the resultant velocity will be what? That is, the resultant velocity will be what? Resultant velocity is equal to U minus V, right? U minus V, that is the upstream velocity, that is U minus V. It's actually the condition for upstream, right? That is, the boat is moving that opposite to that of the flow of the water, flow of the river. So it is an upstream condition, that is U minus V, that is 8 minus 2, that is 6 km per hour. Now, in the first case, let T1 be the time taken by the boat to travel from A to B, okay? T1 be the time taken by the boat to travel from A to B, and T2 be the time taken by the boat to travel from B to A, okay? T2 be the time taken by the boat to travel from B to A. So here 10 km, that is the resultant speed is what? That is the distance by time, and we already assumed that the distance between A and B is x. So distance, that is 10 km is what? 10 is equal to x by T1. Time we all assumed it as T1, right? T1, T2. So time we already assumed it as T1. So 10 km per hour is what? Is equal to x by T1. From that, T1 is equal to what? T1 is equal to x by 10, right? T1 is equal to x by 10. Similarly, in this case, we already assumed that T2 is the time taken by the boat to travel from B to A, and distance between A and B is what? That is, the distance between A and B is equal to distance between A, B and A, okay? That is, the distance is not changing, right? So here 6 km per hour is equal to what? X by T2, right? That is, distance, speed is equal to distance by time, that is, x is the distance, we assume that is B to A, and time is T2, right? So from this we can write that T2 is equal to what? T2 is equal to x by 6, right? T2 is equal to what? X by 6. So we got the equation T1 and T2. Now check the question once again. If the man takes 1 hour to row to a place and draw back, how far is the place? That is, if the man takes 1 hour to row to a place, right, and row back, that is, the total time is 1 hour. That is, the man went from A to B and from B to A, the total time is 1 hour. That is nothing but 1 hour is equal to what? T1 plus T2, right? 1 hour is T1 plus T2, and from this we can now substitute the values of T1 and T2 in this equation. That is, 1 is equal to x by 10 plus x by 6. That is nothing but 1 is, take LCM, that is 6x plus 10x is equal to what? 60, right? So 60 is equal to 6x plus 10x, that is 60 is equal to what? 60 is equal to 6x plus 10x means 16x, right? So x is equal to what? 60 by 16. So you will get the value as 3.75. Yeah, 3.75 kilometer. So the distance between A and B is what? It is 3.75 kilometer. So when you solve questions, more questions like this, you can directly come to this equation, okay? You can directly comes to this equation and you can substitute and you will get the answer, okay? The only thing you need to know here is the concept of upstreams and downstreams, and practicing these questions and more, you can directly, even you can just looking onto the question and you can write the answer, okay? Or you can come to this equation, okay? And then you can find your answer. But the main thing is that you need to practice these questions daily, okay? So try to practice more questions based on boards and streams. In our Telegram channel also we have put many questions based on boards and streams, okay? Okay guys, so we will be coming with more questions based on this topic and other arithmetic and logical topics based on CSAT. Okay guys, that's all for today. Thank you.